Psalm 53 for the director of music according to Mahaleth, a Mascula David. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt and their ways are vile. There is no one who wants to do good. God looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. Everyone has turned away. All have become corrupt. There is no one that does good, not even one. Do all these evildoers know nothing? They devour my people as though eating bread. They never call God. But there they are, overwhelmed with dread. Where there was nothing to dread, God scattered the bones of those who attacked you. You put them to shame, for God despised them. Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion when God restores his people. Let Jacob rejoice and Israel be glad. The circumstances and themes of Psalm 53 speaks of corruption, foolishness of humanity, specifically those who deny God's existence and authority. The psalmist David begins with the famous line, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. This isn't just about intellectual atheism. The Hebrew word for fool, naba'ah, implies a moral perversity and a willful rebellion against God. It's a person who lives as if God doesn't exist, leading to vile and corrupt behavior. The psalm portrays God looking down from heaven, surveying all of mankind, and finding that there is no one who does good, not even one. There is a sweeping indictment of human nature, a theme that is picked up later in the New Testament by the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans, Romans 3:10 through 12. The context of the psalm seems to be a time of national peril for Israel. The wicked are described as those who devour my people as though eating bread, suggesting that the psalm was written during a time of intense external threat or oppression. The enemies of Israel are described as people who do not call upon God and are spiritually blind to the consequences of their actions. However, the psalmist expresses a strong sense of hope and vindication. He asserts that these enemies, who seem so powerful and fearless, will be overwhelmed with dread, where there are nothing to dread. God will ultimately scatter the bones and put them to shame. The psalm concludes with a cry for God's salvation to come out of Zion, for the restoration of his people, and for the rejoicing of Israel. Historical date and connections. The most significant historical aspect of Psalm 53 is its nearly identical nature to Psalm 14. The two psalms are so similar that scholars believe one is a revision of the other. The key differences are divine names. Psalm 14 consistently uses the name Lord, Yahweh, while Psalm 53 uses God, Elohim. This is a major distinction in the Psalter, as some books of Psalms are known for their preference for one divine name over the other. The use of Elohim in 53, which is a more generic term for God, may suggest a broader application of the Psalm's message beyond just the covenant people of Israel. The last verses of the two Psalms differ slightly in their descriptions of the terror and shame that come upon the wicked. Psalm 53's version, God scattered the bones of those who attacked you, is more direct and specific, possibly referencing to a historical event. Scholars have suggested a few historical contexts for writing a revision of Psalm 53. Due to its similarities to Psalm 14, its distinct ending, a national crisis. The psalm could be a response to a specific national challenge, such as a siege or a threat of invasion. The direct reference to God scattering the bones of the enemy might allude to a specific victory, like the miraculous deliverance of Jerusalem for the Assyrian army in the time of King Hezekiah, 2 Kings 19. A rewriting for a new audience, the revision from Psalm 14 to 53 might have occurred during or after the Babylon exile. The use of Elam instead of Yahweh could have been a deliberate choice to make the psalm more universal in its application, or to reflect a different theological perspective emerging during that time. It might have been a way of adapting an older psalm to a new historical crisis. In essence, Psalm 53 is a powerful, timeless meditation on the folly of living without God and the certainty of divine judgment, ultimate salvation for his people, while the specific historical event that prompted its final form may be debated. Its core message about human corruption and God's ultimate victory remains central to biblical theology. Psalm 53 can be applied to many modern circumstances, including the issues raised about the United States. The Psalm's central theme is a widespread corruption and moral decay that arises when people, individually and institutionally, live as if there's no God. This is the fool who says in his heart there is no God, and whose actions are a reflection of that belief. I'll stop here, but I'm going to come back and go back to the Psalm 53.